Available now. Chapter 1. Hailey Knight slipped out of her Mercedes and grabbed her purse, hurrying across the employee parking lot toward the practice field. She always made an effort to be early to any work commitment, even if it was a youth camp and not practice. She didn't want anyone to have a reason to believe she'd only gotten her job as one of the team's athletic trainers because she was the owner's daughter. It was true, in a way. She would never be at this level 2 years out of college without her father's help. But she still tried to prove those crying, or at least thinking, nepotism wrong. She was proud that she'd earned the trust of the players and coaches in her short time working with the best team in the league, the Texas Titans. She rushed through the glass doors, stopping to say hello to Cedar, the darling coordinator who had organized the tiny Titans youth football camp. A lot of the well-known football players would be here, including Hailey's brother-in-law, Xavier Newton. X and Izzy were adorable together. It had concerned her when her only sister fell for a football player, but so far they seemed like a perfect match, and Izzy was definitely happy. Hailey approached her own table, loaded with first aid supplies and information on how to stay healthy and fit, and sighed in relief. Everything was ready, and she was one of the first ones here. "Well, well, if it isn't the Miss Knight," a snide voice came from behind her. Hailey didn't give the overpowering, terrifying snake of a man the pleasure of whirling to fight him. She slowly turned and pasted on her beauty pageant smile, pretending he didn't affect her at all, when all she truly wanted was to hide behind the nearest offensive lineman until William Fonsbeck slithered away. "Just Hailey," she said, trying for friendly and unassuming. "Thank you, sir." William gave her a sultry smile. She supposed most women would find it attractive, but she knew exactly how slimy he was beneath the surface. One date with him had been one too many. Luckily, she'd been able to escape his tentacles, but now she lived in terror of him getting her alone again. Even if he couldn't hurt her physically, she knew he could retaliate in other vicious ways. As the vice president of rules and administration, he was second only to the league's commissioner, and William was the man who enforced fines and suspensions on the players. His title and the power he had to hurt her players and her team were scary enough without the veiled personal threats and sexual innuendos he always slipped in. William had been charming the first time she'd met him, but she should have been smarter and not have allowed him to trick her into going on a date. She'd been semi-afraid to say no and have him watch her team like a hawk, but that would have been better than this extended period of trying to avoid him. 6 months of purgatory and fear of what he could do to her players and, even worse, what he would do to her if he ever got her alone. She should have said something to her dad long ago, but he would go nuts and make complete enemies of the commissioner's office. The moment William realized she wasn't going to report him because she loved her team and her father too much, he'd gotten more and more brazen. The noose of his innuendos and lewd suggestions kept tightening, and she didn't know how to escape at this point. The Titans were already a target because of their huge success the past 2 years. Every owner in the league would be happy to see the commissioner's office go after them. Now they'd lost Ace Sanchez to a knee injury. Her team couldn't afford bad press or suspensions, so she towed the line and lived in fear of William. "Beautiful Hailey." He leaned in close and she gagged on his too strong citrusy cologne. "I've been dreaming about you again, my hot little lady." Hailey backed into her table. He was so gross. "I think you're mistaken. I'm definitely not dream material. More like a drama queen. Should give you nightmares." She tossed him a sassy grin, but her heart was thumping so hard she was sure he could hear it with how close he was. How was she going to escape from him without...